Hey everybody, got another video here for you. So it's time to do the electronics, and I've kind of been putting this off because I don't necessarily enjoy electronics even though I can do it. In order to prepare for this, I went ahead and looked up and copied down the wiring diagrams for all the different controls that are going to be installed. For example, this is the coil split switch, and the three-way mini selector, and the base blend pot, and the base on-off switch, and the master on-off switch. And in order to keep everything all nice and tight in here, I'm going to more or less put all the controls in first, and then kind of wire it up while they're in position. Maybe, pull them out a little bit to solder something up and then shove it back down again. But more or less wire everything in position in the guitar. And I got to put another jack in. But I've already dug up all these parts. I just got to fish them out of the box, and it's time to get to it. So the reason why I make these videos is not to promote my guitar shop or do instructional videos or ASMR or run a YouTube channel based on guitar content or anything like that. Basically, I make these videos in order to show the world my guitar designs and builds. Publish or perish kind of a thing. So, at this point, it's time to do the electronics. And to tell you the truth, I've been putting this off for a month. I took 3 years electronics shop, and yeah, I can do it, but I don't necessarily enjoy it. At this point, the builds in general, there's not a whole lot more to try out. I gotta try the quad pickup thing still, but yeah, it's by and large the same thing in a different color is what the builds are becoming. So I've sort of lost motivation a little bit, but I'm gonna see if I can get my act together here and go ahead and do up these electronics. I don't think I'll bother filming it. If you want ASMR, you can find that someplace else. Really, all you guys really need to know is what I do and why, and what order I do it in, how I do it, and what goes wrong, and why it goes wrong, and how I fix it. So, yeah, I'm gonna soldier through this, and I'll be back. Okay, in order to keep all this stuff as short and straight as possible, I'm gonna install all the switches and then try at least to leave them in place while I wire it up. Might have to loosen it and raise it up a little bit to make a connection, but yeah, by and large in place, not putting it on a piece of cardboard and then transferring it over. And as usual, the holes after going through the paint shop, gonna need a little bit of reaming in order to get things to fit. And so, yeah, there's the reamer. And notice I'm using a long, thin one because it gives you more of a straight hole and less of a cone. And you always want to do this from the back side because, once again, you're not cutting a straight hole, you're cutting a cone. And that way you've got the smaller end of the cone on the face of the guitar. So, yeah, just put it in, do a few twists. Actually get it to start cutting some wood. Here, I think it's doing something. find my switch. This is that's the coil split switch that I've already got installed. And this here is the three-way switch in a mini toggle. It looks like it's still a little tight, so yeah. I'll finish reaming that out and go ahead and do the other ones. The pot goes here for the blend for the bass, and that's the bass on off, and that's the master on off. And the jack goes like right here, and the prongs for it come out there. Okay, the three-way is in place now, and just tightened down by finger. Turns out the best tool for doing this, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can use to do this, but this is the best tool, is a deep well socket, because you can do it without chewing up anything. And you really only need to do it finger tight. You can always use a small ratchet handle on the end of it in order to snug it gently, but finger tight usually gets the job done. Okay, I've completed a first pass at doing all the wiring, and I'm waiting for the wireless transmitter and receiver cable units to charge up in order to test it. Zoom up a little bit here so you can get a closer look. Got your coil split for the bridge, and your three-way switch, your blend pot for the bass, and the on-off for the bass is over here. This is the master on-off, and then the jack's up here. And this stuff under here is just a bunch of wires, basically, all coming out over here, and tape's just kind of like holding everything in place. And then this guy right up here is the wire that's going to go to the ground, to the grounding spot on the spring claw. And there's the transmitter and receiver charging up, and so I'm just waiting on that. And taking a look at what's left, I need to get the strings back on it, and there's the claw block and the claw and third string if I need it, and the locks for the lock nut. So that's all the stuff for getting the strings back on. And then I also need to get the depth pick guard going, but as you can see, the paint job on it's kind of hating life, so I'm going to sand this down and give it another shot at trying to get a nice clean finish on it. And I'm going to put on one of these little Allen wrench holder things on the back of the headstock, I think. And this also is kind of hating life. It's been sitting around in a parts box for months now, so I'll see what I can do to freshen up that thing. And yeah, by that time, that wireless system should be charged up, and I can go ahead and test the electronics. So I think a little quality time at the sander's next. Change of plan. For a long time I've been thinking about using aluminum sheet metal for these covers and such instead of plastic that had been spray painted. And so I decided to break down and get a 12-inch long metal shear for cutting aluminum sheet metal. And I've already got some aluminum sheet metal pickguard material already in stock here. And when this thing comes in, it'll be here in 4 days. When this thing comes in, then I can just cut a back cover for the guitar and also a depth pickguard for the guitar from actual aluminum sheet metal instead of plastic. And that way I don't have to mess with finishing it at all. And, I can do stuff like brushed aluminum finishes, get that kind of metal for it, or whatever I want to do. I can also do like brass and copper and stuff like that. So, and in the past I've used hand shears and then having to gently straighten the stuff out without marking it up, and this will make it a whole lot easier to make sheet metal covers and depth pick guards and such, pick guards for guitars in general. So yeah, that's on the way. Well, I got it all wired up and it's totally dead. And so spent a couple days messing around and trying testing out this part and that part of the circuit and stuff. And I'm not 100% positive yet, but it looks like the jack is bad, because apparently I can get like the coil split and the bridge and the humbucker and stuff to all work all the way up to right at the end of the jack. But if I plug the wireless into the jack instead of like using jumpers to connect it to the hot wires in the ground and stuff, if I plug it into the jack, it doesn't work. If I like jumper it, it does work. So yeah, it looks like it's got a bad jack. Go figure. I've never seen anything like that before, but yeah, I'm about to tear into it and confirm that. But it looks like it actually has a bad jack, in which case I'll just order up another one, get it in here, and be able to get started on that in another day or two, assuming that's the problem. In the meantime, the table metal sheet metal shear, the 12-inch unit, has arrived, and I tested it, and it works great. You can cut out like a piece of sheet metal for a pick guard or a depth pick guard or something like that, and it makes a nice clean cut and doesn't bend up the metal at all. So yeah, it's I'll be able to use this thing in order to cut out an aluminum sheet metal depth pick guard for the guitar, and I can be doing that while I'm waiting for a new jack to arrive, assuming it needs a new jack. So now it's time for me to go and dig into that old jack and confirm that's the problem. Yeah, it looks like this acoustic jack is bad. I've got the wireless. I unsoldered the ground wire from the jack, got the wireless hooked up gator clips to the ground. Guitar's on, the bass pickup is off, the bridge pickup is on, and the coil split is not on, and it works. And the coil split works, you get one side and not the other. So yeah, it looks like the jack is bad. Something weird going on there. I don't know. I'll check it out. Well, I got the jack here out of the guitar, but I got a little bit of tear out in the process. This came out with it, so I'll have to super glue that thing back on right there. And of course, the new jack will go over the top of that, help cover everything up. Shouldn't show up very much. There might be a little like line on the back on the bottom side of the guitar, but that would be about it. And guess I'll take a VOM to this thing and see what's up. It's dead apparently. Take a couple days to get another one. I think they're about $13, $14. Might be 20, 17, something like that. Okay, I took the wireless here and I jumpered it to the hot and the ground that normally go to the jack, and I tested everything and it's all working. So yeah, it's looks like it's just the jack. A new one will be here in a couple days, and until then, I can go ahead with things like getting the claw block on, getting the bridge back on, the strings, and lock nut, and all that kind of stuff, and maybe even making a new aluminum sheet metal cover for this thing, possibly using the new sheet metal shear. So, moving on to the depth pick guard, I've got the original plastic one here with its second or third chrome paint job that didn't quite turn out so flat. And I've traced it out onto this, I think it's like 1/32 inch thick aluminum, which should be like 0.08 millimeters. And yeah, so I traced that out, and now I'll use the hand shear in order to cut this out. Get a new part for this thing. And go right about there, just like that. Okay, doing a dry run assembly mock up here, and I think I want that one a little shorter. You set it up, and it'll be more or less about like that. And if you look at your heights here versus the pickup, and also your height here versus the pickup and the neck. Now, if you measure it, this is 23.4 millimeters. That's 2 millimeters taller than the neck, the fret plane. And you slap that right in there, and that's your saddle height right there. So they can just come in with a straight edge. And this would be fretting at the 24th. That's where the string would be. And you've got maybe a millimeter of clearance for the string to flop around when it's been plucked. And that's more or less the same everywhere. Like over here on like number 5 or 6. Yeah, you still only got a millimeter. So that might be a little bit high. I think it is. I mean, technically it's even with this, with the top of this pickup, but it is further back. So it should be a little bit lower. So I'm going to sand a little bit off the bottom of this block and get that down before I glue it all up. Okay, it's looking much better now. It's much more along the lines that the pickup heights are running at. Originally, it was at like 19.4 millimeters for this front post or shim or whatever, and I took it down to 18 millimeters in order to get it where it's at. And it does clear quite nicely now. So, yeah. Like I said, it's in line with where the tops of the pickups are. So, if it's going to buzz, it'll buzz on the pickups and this all at the same time, more or less. But it shouldn't buzz at all. Okay, the depth pick guard worked out quite nicely, I'd say. Everything went according to plan, so I went ahead and ordered up some more sheet metal, this kind of stuff, so that I can make cover plates for this. Something to replace this plastic piece. Now, since it's a straight shear, it can't cut concave stuff, only convex stuff. And so it couldn't cut like this cut right here, for example. But if you do it in sections, like make a plate that big from here over, and then make a plate this big, or you could even, no, I guess you'd have to make a front plate, a middle plate, and a back plate. But by doing something like that, you could get the whole thing covered in aluminum and then hold it down with little screws like this was on the old body. And so that's going to be here tomorrow. The jack will be here the day after tomorrow. And moving down to this end, oh, while I was at it, instead of the drywall screw that had been squirted with chrome, I went ahead and ordered up a stainless steel flathead Phillips head wood screw, 30 millimeter, in order to screw this block on here, and that ought to look a little nicer. Actually, they might be Allen drive, come to think of it. Yeah, I think they are Allen drive, so that'll be even more trick. It'll match this stuff, because these are stainless as well. And then, while I wait for all that to arrive, about the only thing left is putting a little wrench holder up here on the headstock, and I've already marked out where the screw holes should go. If we can get the camera to pick it up. Yeah, I see a dot, I think. Wait a sec. Yeah, kind of fuzzy, but there's a couple dots right there. There's one dot, and there's the other dot. So this is going to go right about like that. And there's still enough room for you to get your hand around this section of the neck down here. So, and these don't get in the way, like when you're doing a full bar cord open kind of a thing. So the next step's going to be to drill and install this thing. just to be safe, I marked off the drill bit with a bit of tape for the same length as how much screw sticks down through this thing, and double check the holes up here. And both of them are already plenty deep enough, so that's ready to go. I'm going to use petroleum jelly to lubricate the screw, just this bottom part of it, because it's going to be less fumbly than dealing with the paste wax. So that's the battle plan. Now all I have to do is find the correct size screwdriver for this thing. Well, I think that's going to do it for this one. So until the next one, everybody, have a good one.